So, with my first NRL Hunter in the books this last weekend, I wanted to make a few videos and kind of talk about my experience, what my expectations were going in, and how everything ended up playing out. So, this is my very first stage right here. This is a blind, it was a 2-target, 2-position. And one of the issues that I started learning is that time management is extremely difficult to study. I did as much watching of YouTube videos and practicing up in the hills as I could, and it wasn't even close to comparing me for the real world. When you start getting under that clock and you're trying to glass targets and you're trying to build positions, it's much more difficult than I ended up realizing.
Lost it. I'm not going to get that one.
All right.
So on that last stage, that was my very first stage, I ended up getting a 1 due to my poor time management. So this is the second stage right here. And one of the things that I realized is extremely important that took me a long, I don't know what my son's doing right here, but one of the things that I wasn't doing very well at the very beginning was when I would end up finding a target, I would get so excited and I would mark down the range and okay, it's time to go build a position. I think this was another 2-target, 2-position. I would get out there and I didn't landmark anything. So you're going to end up seeing that on this one. I got excited about finding the targets. I start getting behind the gun. I build my position. Now I cannot remember where the target was. I didn't landmark anything. When you're glassing out between, a lot of these targets are between 300 and 600 yards without landmarks, it all looks the same. So you're going to see here, I wasted a lot of time trying to figure out where the targets were. Decided I had to go back to my binos. I sped everything up a little bit just because this takes so long. Now I'm in a new position. I'm not at the glassing location. Still can't find it. So I have to end up wasting time running all the way back over to the original position, acquiring the target again. So I think I finally do get the target acquired and decide, okay, I need to get some landmarks figured out. I got my landmarks figured out, wasted so much time now. Now it's time to build my position all over again. You can see I get it built. I can't even remember how much time I wasted here, but it's pretty significant. And now the stress just kicks in. I did have one of those spur timers that was telling me how much time I had left, which is a blessing and a curse. It helps you out, but also it just puts that much more pressure when you start running out of time. And so I think this was the second stage. I believe this was the second stage I ended up doing. And I think I got nothing on this one. I think I zeroed this stage out. So you could see, still taking me a long time. Took a shot there, nothing.
Miss, re-engage. Next station.
Throughout the stage, I utilize this position quite a bit with the extended bipod with the tripod rear support because it seemed to be my most stable position. But for the first half of day one, it was a mess. I wasn't getting much of anything. So this is another one of the stages, and I apologize if everything is going to be in this view. My son was doing a lot of the filming, which I'm very appreciative of, but he did everything in this orientation, most all of it. So as now I think I'm probably on like somewhere around my 3rd or 4th stage, and I end up acquiring the targets. I think I decided to landmark this time, but one thing I wasn't doing was preemptively trying to determine my shooting position, how I was going to set up my rifle when I got to the location once I finally glassed. And you're going to notice that on this one, I decided I wanted that same shooting position that I felt I was the most stable in. My brain was set in, that's how I'm going to set up. And this is a prime example of you need to be comfortable in many different shooting positions and know what works for where. I tried to set up, wasted a ton of time trying to get my position built, and at the last minute decided it wasn't going to work. So I transitioned over to clipping into the tripod, and I don't remember if I got any points on this. Doesn't matter. The first half of day one, I got almost nothing. I was getting zeros and ones, I think, is all I was acquiring. One of the reasons I want to show a lot of these videos is, number one, that I can reflect back in the future, and number two, I watched a lot of NRL Hunter videos, and a lot of guys like to show how good they did, and I would like to do that too. I think I got a couple of halfway decent stages here, but I wanted it to be also realistic as to what to expect going into your very first NRL Hunter match. I went in thinking I was fairly prepared, and I'm showing some videos of how everything changes when you get out there and you start getting under the clock. And I'm hoping maybe some people can watch this and kind of understand that it is nowhere near as easy as you think it might be. A lot of people recommended do a skills, your very first one. I thought, nope, I'm going to run factory. I'm going to compete, and I'm going to do pretty good. Turns out I didn't do terrible, but didn't do great. This is another one, like I said, where I feel like I didn't get hardly any points on this stage. I might have gotten one or two. I didn't end up looking at the
that bush is a bitch, isn't it? Yeah,
score
honestly,
there.
I knew where.
Let's talk about more things that I did wrong. Going into this competition, I had my gear that I thought I had all my gear figured out. One of the bags that I was bringing was a Game Changer medium with heavy fill, and I used that. Well, I carried it around with me for the first few stages, and after I think the third or fourth stage, I was so sick of carrying around that heavy bag, and I was carrying around this other lightweight bag that I use for hunting. And I gave the heavy bag to my son and said, hey, go put this in the Jeep. I'm not going to need a bag for this competition. If I do need a bag, I'll just use this lightweight bag. Massive mistake. Right after I did that, I ended up having at least 3 stages that day. And this is one of them that I really needed that heavy fill bag. I was attempting to shoot with this really small, lightweight bag. Was not stable at all, and that's reflected in my shots. This was a 1 target 4 position that I should have gathered at least 4 to 5 points on, 6 points maybe. My dope was dead on the money, and if I was stable, I would have gathered points. I think I only got 1 or 2 points on this, and that was because I let go of a piece of equipment that was mandatory that I should have carried with me. So you guys are going to start seeing a trend here of how many things I was doing wrong at the very beginning. So this one's going to be sped up. I think the view was gorgeous. This was an awesome stage. It was a 2 target, 2 position, had wolves out there. I was only able to locate the first wolf with the placard. And again, I was using a lightweight bag. The best shooting position I felt on this, I started looking and trying to build my positions as I was glassing. I thought, I'm going to shoot off a bag. This was one of the stages that I could have used that heavy fill medium bag again. Didn't use it, but I started learning how to play the game. I gave myself a little bit of time. I was only able to locate the first wolf, and instead of wasting all my time glassing, I finally, after I think about 2.5 minutes, I got off the glass and thought I need to at least try to start building some points. This one was a little ways away, and it was through like a canyon, so there was some wind that was whipping around. I can come up with every excuse in the book, but I ended up trying to build a position here. You're going to see no impacts. This was not one that I should have zeroed on. I should have at least got some points for that first wolf. And it's crazy how the stress gets to you. You know, not building a proper position will get to you. You just start breaking the trigger thinking, I got to try to get something. I wasn't watching my impacts, so I wasn't able to make adjustments on my wind calls. But still, you guys can enjoy watching me fail on this one, crawling up and down the rock here. I ended up engaging the first target here. And like I said, I started learning the game a little bit. So I engaged target 1. Wasn't able to get an impact on it. I think I took 2 shots there. And once I was done, I just called skipping target 2 and went to go build a new position. Yeah, nothing on that one. So, all right, let me build a new position, skipping target 2. Second position, engaging target 1 again. And I missed them both. It's crazy how this event can be filled with highs and lows. You do good on a stage, you're feeling awesome, and then you do something like this and zero a stage, and it just crushes your confidence. So we're just about halfway through the first day. This was a pretty cool one. The target was somewhere around, I believe if I remember right, the 200-yard range. This was a doe that you had to make impacts on the vitals. The tough part was you couldn't, at least me, I couldn't see the vital plate, but I knew where the vitals were. So luckily I was able to range the target very quickly since it was a 1 target 4 position. I decided with the rock pile and how fast I needed to transition, I was going to just shoot off the tripod. I was pretty lucky there. I got a first round impact, which was worth 2 points. Tripped over the rocks. That was pretty awesome. And then you're in kind of this square that you have to do all 4 positions. And some of the ROs are a little more lax on kind of what the rules are, or making sure you're in the box, and some of them are a little more strict. This RO was great about making sure you were where you were supposed to be. I heard him kind of talking to some of the people before me, saying that they needed to get a foot inside. So that's why you'll hear me keep asking, am I good here? Am I good here? Because essentially I didn't want to get yelled at. I don't do very well when I get yelled at. So
that's good. That's good.
I did okay. Definitely need a lot more practice shooting off a tripod, but this gave a few people a little bit of trouble just because the vitals were a little hard to see. But kind of knowing where the vitals were, I was kind of getting into my groove here, and this built my confidence up a little bit better. I think I got a 5 on this one. I got 2 first rounds and a second round, I think is what I got. Yeah, I think this is my 4th position. I'm looking like a doofus crawling all over these rocks. But you know what? I don't care. I got a first round on that. I think I got a first round on that 4th one right there. So, you know what? I'll take it. I think I did a little whoop at the end because I was finally starting to figure out how to play and get a few points built up.
Impact. Woo! For 5.
So I'm continuing through the first day right here. I can't remember if the doe was the last stage, but this was kind of an interesting stage. It was a 2 target, 2 position, and this is what I was talking about. Kind of starting to learn how to play the game a little bit better as I transitioned through the first day. This was 2 target, yeah, I think I said 2 target, 2 position. I was only able to identify the first target again. So after about 2 minutes, I jumped off. I started building my position and decided I was going to just engage the first target. And if I had any time left after engaging the first target in the second position, I would spend that time just trying to look through the scope, but at least I could get a few points on the board. That was kind of my game plan after I realized I need a lot more practice glassing. I might have talked right through it, but that was a prime example. I got an impact and just immediately called out that I was skipping target 2 and going to the next position just so I could try to get some points. And it worked out for me. Didn't get a ton, but I don't know what I got here. I think I got like 3 points.
Well, I guess I'll look around a little bit, huh?
Yep, you got 45 seconds.
Alright.
So after day 1, we did 12 stages, and day 2 was going to be 6 stages. This having that break was a big advantage for me because I was able to reflect on everything I did, kind of regroup. My friend Nate's in the background there. We ended up meeting up there and being on the same squad, so we were able to kind of bounce information off of each other, debrief a little bit, and I went into day 2 a lot more confident, changed my gear loadout, and kind of went in with a different mindset. And this is the very first stage of day 2, and I ended up, this was an elk. It was a 1 target, 4 position at, if I remember right, just shy of 900 yards. And we had some wind blowing. I was holding about a half mil. And you can tell the difference being in a different mindset makes, having the confidence. I ended up getting multiple first round impacts on this. I think 3 first rounds, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 first rounds and 2 seconds. I ended up getting 6 points on this one, and that really did set the tone for day 2. It's crazy the difference it makes when you have a little bit of time to reflect and determine how you're going to go into the next day.
Impact! Impact!
I wanted to include this stage because I did so ridiculously bad on it, but anybody that went to this Mason Valley NRL Hunter is going to recognize this stage right away. It was the one that everybody complained about. It was a 4 target, 1 position, and these were pigs that were very hard to range. You can see I should have just thrown my binos right on the on a shooting bag on that vehicle. Again, it's still a learning curve. I wasted my time. I couldn't see the targets where I was standing. You'll see I just pick up the entire tripod trying to do it. I should have just thrown the glass right on a bag right there, but I didn't. I was learning, and this one's kind of funny. You'll see me just try to climb up on top. Once I was only able to range 2 targets, and I was a victim of misranging as well. I should have gotten some points off that first one. Couldn't figure out why I didn't get impacts. When I ended up talking to the RO at the end, we were kind of joking around, and I said, yeah, I've heard these things are kind of hard to range, and he asked me what I ranged target 1 at, and I said 190 yards, and he said, yeah, that thing was about 400 and change. No wonder you missed both times. So that was me. I probably ended up ranging a sage bush or something like that, and it just shows my inexperience again. Wouldn't trade it for anything though. I probably learned more at this competition than I'm going to end up learning at any other competition. I felt like my learning curve was pretty extreme on this one. With how bad I did on all these, I actually did really good on some of the stages on the second day. And with day 1 being 12 stages, day 2 being 6 stages, I got almost as many points on day 2 as day 1. So it just shows how being able to regroup and kind of change your mindset and learn what you learned from the day before and implementing it can change. I ended up finishing 4th in the factory division, even after the shit show that I did on day 1. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough to get me a trophy. I was just out of that. I was in 4th position, or 4th place, but it was absolutely incredible. I met some cool people. I learned a lot, and my next one's going to be in Arbuckle at the end of April. So if I could try to get a little bit of video on that one, I'll end up posting it. This is the prize table, but I wasn't going to get a walk till like 90th. So we ended up getting out of there to head home.